Yeah, we didn't. We just threw the topic out there because we felt it's something good to discuss. There was no particular reason, really. Just something that felt really, really good, that we should all talk about this. And it's so good when we get to something that feels like that. We should talk about this. But pretty much, I don't know what I want to say is that some of the things that you have said that touch me deeply, I have to clarify that that for me, I see my best self as my worst self, and my worst self, I see it as my best self, so I don't have those dichotomies in my mind. I'm not saying this is how everybody is, or much less that how everybody should be, but I pretty much embrace everything I have done, and everything I do with an open heart, even if sometimes breaks my heart. That's how I learn. That's how I move through in this path. It's embracing everything that I am. And I also see people that way. I don't see people in fault. If people see me in fault, that's their mind. That's how, like you were saying, that's how their mind works. But I'm just so happy I don't see people in faults. I see people where they are, in their path. Myself, I just see myself as a practitioner, as a very devoted practitioner. I'm very protective of all the students and everybody that comes here. And I'm sure, especially when I started, I made many mistakes, and they were very painful. Because from the very beginning, I never wanted to separate myself from anybody and act myself like I am superior, Just putting myself on a platform and teaching from that platform. I couldn't do that from the very beginning, so being on a more parallel level, it was very painful. And now it's not painful anymore, or at least not how it was. It's the only way I can teach. We are all human beings, and I don't see human beings as having faults. We are human beings, and everything is acceptable, and everything is energy to transform. Is, how you call it, mists for the meal? No, grits for the meal, or something like that. Everything is grits for the meal. What?
Grist.
Grist.
I like grits.
It sounds similar. It's not similar. So I go by the sound because it's not really my language. So it's so it's a very tantric vision of mine, of seeing everything as the path, and ignorance transforms into enlightenment, and ignorance intrinsically is enlightenment, and vice versa. So I don't see life in compartments. So anyway, just trusting that I just want to do the best in every situation, the best I can in every situation, and learn from those situations, and continue in this path. I don't know. I had children when I practiced from the very beginning. I had children already, so my time was very precious. I was there for the teachings. I didn't care much about the teacher. I cared about the teachings. just give me the teachings, give me the teachings, I want the teachings, and then I would just go home and practice and do all the retreats I can. I want the teachings, I want the teachings. And then where I learned, you know, that some teachers say, you know, you cannot go with other teachers, or you have to only take me, and you cannot do this. I don't understand that. I just don't understand that. Time is precious, and we really have to realize who we are deeply, deeply. And also, I just want to talk about another topic that is ferocious compassion. That compassion is not always nice and kind and goody-goody. Compassion, the other side of compassion, is could be ferocious compassion. And it doesn't come from anger, it comes from compassion. That's the difference. And I also recently read a story from the Dalai Lama. They were talking about the abuse of women, and he took a cup and just banged it on the table and said, the stop has to be abused, and all the table shake. And then people understood, because it's the Dalai Lama. But I don't know, it also refers to this practice, you know, and to stand up from that ferocious compassion when we see things that are not in accord with the Dharma. The Dharma that runs in our veins, not some kind of Dharma in someplace else. From the Dharma that runs through our veins, we need to really throw ourselves in that emptiness and put ourselves there without concern of what's going to happen to us. Yeah. I mean, it's very different to relate by your feelings and emotions before encountering emptiness. That's one thing. And then another thing is being aware of your feelings and emotions once you have encountered emptiness, in the context of emptiness. Then it's very different, because then you can really own your feelings and emotions without being dragged by them. So that's why he's saying you need a teacher. And the basis of Zen is emptiness. And like Roshi was saying, and I love what he said, like a teacher that having had the experience of emptiness is as useful as a pocket in the back of a t-shirt. Or on the back of a t-shirt. It's a very humorous way. You're asking me?
Both of you.
The question is, how do you know?
How do you know if a teacher is a true teacher? I mean, I know you're a true teacher.
You know, you have to risk it all. And then you risk it all, you find out whether that was a true teacher or not. You know, because...
You can get hurt.
What?
You can get hurt.
Then you heal. And it's really, these days is very different from how it was when I practiced, or maybe Roshi was lucky with my Sumi Roshi, I don't know. But I went through a lot of emotional abuse by a teacher. And, you know, I always follow my heart. And even when I encountered that he was not a true teacher, no. A true teacher, or he was not the right teacher for me, my heart saved me, you know, because I was following my heart, my true heart. So yeah, emotional abuse is not appropriate. But when I practiced, there were not that many teachers. So I went through it, you know, thinking that it was gonna be good for my ego. It was gonna be good for my ego. And at some point, I think that taking risk just liberated me from that teacher. And another teacher appeared on my path. So I thought it's kind of magical, you know, how we follow this path. And we risk it all, and then the next door opens. And it's all emptiness, you know, so risking entering into emptiness, and how things manifest from emptiness. So I just promised you, you take a risk, I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. That is my promise to you. That sound good? Yeah, it was. And you know, when I became a teacher, I had so much wounding from my past, you know, and because this practice is about bypassing. I'm so sorry, no, this practice is not about bypassing, but in the practice you can bypass a lot of personal stuff, you know, and especially before how Zen was taught, we did bypass the whole personality, you know, it was a practice of transcendence. I mean, you transcend the personality and you jump into emptiness, and I was good at that, at jumping into emptiness, trusting emptiness. But then I became a teacher, and all these things at the human level, I had to work in so much stuff, and you know, in the relationship with the student, brought all these things from the past that I had not healed. So that's why we created the Great Heart Way, where we were able to heal our own personal stuff as we taught it, and together with the student. So for me, teaching at the beginning, it was about protecting myself. I visualized myself having a bubble around myself where I would protect, and now I put the bubble on the student. You know, like the student is the one I protect. I don't need protection. No, that's how it changed. Before I was the one that needed protection, and now, you know, I don't need protection. I can take care of myself. Yeah, for me, this was very important. Let's see what comes to my non-prepared. Ones that in Zen, you know, we are not gurus, and our job is to set people free. So as long as we see that their projection happen to on us, we have to cut those projections and set the person free. You know, not to hold in those projections. And I was telling the group in the mountains that it had been more than 30 years, maybe 35 years, since I started practicing. And I was telling them that when I started practicing, I was so locked in, I couldn't express my emotions. I didn't even know what they were. I was trying to fulfill an image of myself that I could never fulfill, so I was always feeling frustrated and of course insecure, and most of us lost in the world, lost of who I was, and very uncomfortable in my own body, very uncomfortable in my own skin. That's when I started practicing Zen, and I fell in love with Zen and the things I read, and that there was no dogma, and that it was all based in experience. So I just jumped in Zen, like it was my only opportunity to find myself, to find the self that I had lost. Because I remember when I was little, I knew I was connected with myself, and suddenly I was lost, completely lost. And then, so I was telling them it had taken me 35 years to be okay with who I am, to be okay with who I am. You know? And then, yeah, when people say, you know, that I'm not perfect, what do you mean? Like I poop and eat? Do you mean that? That I'm human? So there are different levels of imperfections, you know. There are imperfections you project on me, that's fine, that's all on you. And then for me, it's the perfection of being able to be who I am. That for me is the perfection. Of be able to be who I am truly at all times. For me, that's the perfection that it had taken me so long to accomplish. That's the perfection that people think of perfection. Of course not. Of course not. This is, but I feel that just this is the effect of all this path, is be able to be okay with who I am all the time. But then there is all these other levels of imperfection. Sexual abuse of your students is not okay. I don't care what your fucking dharma says. I have no interest. If you cannot respect women's sexuality, you are not up to be a teacher. And I'm so strong on that. I am on for Dr. Ford, and that guy should not be in the Supreme Court, and that has hurt me deeply. I've been in so much pain. I don't have anger. I just have so much pain from immemorial time of how much we have been abused, you know? And it's pain in my heart. And when I heard yesterday that Roshi Shinko wrote, quoting somebody else that said, "Take a break and we will continue our song forever." You gave me a like, so I know you read it. I think you gave me a like on that. Okay. I did too. So I know you read that, and I felt you felt some release too. That we will continue our song of peace and equality forever.
No matter what.
No matter what. And really, I'm not angry. I just have a lot of energy. Mostly very, very, very deep pain. And, you know, it's just the abuse of the women, the abuse of the earth, the abuse of animals, of all the people that have weakless strength, you know, from the, anyway. So, for me, I mean, I really love my Sumi Roshi, that he had the humbleness to apologize and to make amends. And I really feel very honored about all those men that had the vulnerability and the homelessness that to recognize that way what they have done and make restitution. And there have been several in the White Plum who have been able to do that. And I feel, you know, it's great with them. It's just they truly saw it. But for men that have abused women for their own sake, using the power that is so sacred to do that. Anyway, I really like sexuality, but not on an abusive level. It's not okay. Anyway, talking too much. So, I was telling them, I don't know what I was telling them. Anyway, it's good to have a free expression of this. We do need to heal the inner child before we become teachers. Preferably, I had to heal it after I was a teacher, because there was not a venue for us to heal the inner child.